We will call the meeting to order, please. We are in public and televised today. It is meeting number 41 of your Procedure and House Affairs Committee, and we're here pursuant to Standing Order 84-1 on main estimates, and we have with us today Speaker Scheer. Well, we know you have some opening comments. Please, welcome back. And by the way, members, those of you that were away last week doing election in Ukraine, thank you for the work you did and taking your time away to do that. So wanted to make sure that the world know how hard some of you worked last week too. Well, some of us were home. Mr. Scheer, if you would carry on with your opening comments, please.
Thank you and good morning. It's always a pleasure to come and visit this great group of parliamentarians. I am very pleased to be here today, along with Mark Bosk, the Deputy Clerk of the House of Commons, and Mark Waters, Chief Financial Officer. We are also joined by other members of the House Administration's Executive Management Team, Stéphane Aubé, Chief Information Officer, Richard Denis, Deputy Law Clerk and Parliamentary Counsel, Pierre Perron, Chief Human Resources Officer, and Kevin Vickers, Sergeant at Arms. Aujourd'hui, je présenterai le budget principal des.
Today, I will be presenting the House of Commons main estimates and the Supplementary Estimates A for 2014-2015. I will begin with a presentation on the main estimates and will conclude with information on funding requested in Supplementary Estimates A.
2014-2015 main estimates total $413,725,137. This represents a decrease of 3.5% compared to the 2013-2014 main estimates funding levels, and a 7.2% reduction from the 2012-2013 main estimates. For reference purposes, you have received a document outlining the year-over-year changes for the main estimates between 2013 and 2014 and 2014-2015. I'll proceed by providing an overview of each line item along with four major themes: budgets for members, House officers and presiding officers, House administration, reductions under the Structural Operating Review, and employee benefit plans. To start, I'd like to speak to the budgets for members, House officers and presiding officers. Even when we exclude the reductions achieved under the Strategic and Operating Review, this portion of our estimates was reduced by over $1.1 million. This figure includes both the statutory increases to the sessional allowance and additional salaries, as well as the statutory reductions to the Members of Parliament Retiring Allowances account and the Retirement Compensation Arrangements account. The reductions seen as a result of both pension adjustments amounts to $1.9 million. As you may remember, the cost to the House of Commons for contribution to members' pension plans is determined and managed by Treasury Board based on actuarial calculations. Passons maintenant aux questions qui ont trait à l'administration de la Chambre.
Let us now look at matters that relate to the administration of the House of Commons. First, you will note that the main estimates allocate $1.4 million for increased transparency resulting from changes to the public reporting of members' expenditures. This funding requirement is further to the announcement made by the Board of Internal Economy in October 2013 that we will move to an enhanced disclosure format as well as towards quarterly reporting of the members' expenditures report.
Transparency will include the presentation of service contracts as a standalone category, separate members' accommodation expenses from members' per diem expenses, and subdivide the hospitality category. Additionally, more information will be made available regarding the use of all special travel points, and this will as well be disclosed quarterly. The first enhanced quarterly members' expenditures report covering the period from April 1st to June 30th will be published by September 30th of this year. While the funding requirements are not reflected in these main estimates, I do want to mention that the members' expenditures report for the second quarter of fiscal year 2014-2015 will be further enhanced to bring House of Commons reporting for travel and hospitality expenses in line with proactive disclosure practices of ministers' offices. Extensive system changes are currently underway and will be reflected in a further report which will be available to the public by December 31st, 2014. Increasing transparency has been a priority of the Board of Internal Economy for some time, and the Board remains committed to finding ways in which we can continue to improve. Moving on from disclosure, the main estimates also allocate an additional $190,000 in compensation for House Administration employees. This funding is specifically used to cover economic increases for 2014-2015 for collective agreements ending after March 31st, 2014. En outre, le budget principal de dépenses.
Additionally, the main estimates once again account for temporary funding for two parliamentary conferences: the 40th annual session of the Assemblée parlementaire de la Francophonie and the 11th Conference of Parliamentarians of the Arctic region. These two upcoming conferences will be excellent opportunities to showcase Canada, foster parliamentary diplomacy, and advance Canadian objectives internationally. The funding decisions for both of these conferences were taken by the Board of Internal Economy in keeping with the recommendation by the Joint Interparliamentary Council.
Assembly of the Assemblée parlementaire de la Francophonie requires temporary funding of $184,000 for 2014-2015. This session will be taking place this July in Ottawa. Further, the 11th Conference of Parliamentarians of the Arctic region requires temporary funding of $132,000 for 2014-2015. And the event will be held in Whitehorse this October. There is also a $25,000 increase that is required for pages remuneration under the House of Commons page program. In December 2010, the Board approved a permanent annual increase to the compensation for pages that is equal to the average increases in tuition fees at the University of Ottawa and Carleton University. I am certain we can all agree that we want to continue to recruit top young Canadians for the page program. By linking their pay to their tuition rates, we ensure that they remain fairly compensated for their valuable work. For fiscal year 2014-2015, the annual compensation for each page increased by $536 to $13,584. Vous remarquez ensuite que le budget principal.
Finally, you will note that the main estimates reflect reductions for two instances of temporary funding: the online recruitment tool and asset management. This combined funding of $669,000 is no longer required.
That are being achieved as a result of the House of Commons Strategic and Operating Review. As you know, on March 12, 2012, the Board of Internal Economy approved a savings and reduction strategy that is seeing spending for the House of Commons decrease by $30.3 million, or 6.9% of the overall budget. For 2014-2015 main estimates, the reductions amount to $13.5 million and are being achieved through a number of key initiatives that I will cover briefly. Notably, there are reductions to House officers' office budgets, in keeping with the decreases per year for the past two fiscal years. These amount to savings of $600,000. Additionally, the reductions include significant savings that has been achieved by the increased use of flight passes and low-fare economy travel. As you well know, regular travel is a necessity for members, and it is an area where we have been able to collectively achieve substantial savings. The Constituency Office Furniture and Equipment Improvement Fund will be eliminated in 2014-2015, resulting in savings of more than $1.5 million. This fund was used to supplement existing stocks of equipment and furniture for members' constituency offices. Going forward, members will make use of their own office budgets should they wish to supplement or improve their office furnishings. Furthermore, savings of $3.6 million are being achieved through the reduction of personnel-related costs. Since January 2014, employees of members, House officers, and research offices are being granted vacation leave in lieu of automatic lump sum vacation payments. This change brings our practices in line with the standard practices used by nearly all public and private sector employers. Pour 2014-2015, d'autres.
For 2014-2015, there are further reductions to the Liaison Committee funding envelope. These reductions are in line with measures taken by members of parliamentary committees, as they too continue their ongoing efforts to limit spending and find efficiencies. Additionally, further cost savings and reductions for the House of Commons administration are being achieved through a combination of budget reductions, administrative operational efficiencies, attrition, and a limited number of workforce adjustment situations.
L'équipe de gestion de l'administration.
The House Administration Management Team has put forth great efforts to limit the impact on its employees, and where there have been impacts, a workforce adjustment policy is in place to facilitate employment continuity for indeterminate employees.
Final item that is included in the 2014-2015 main estimates is a reduction of $1.6 million to employee benefit plans. This is a non-discretionary statutory expense that, in accordance with Treasury Board benefit rates, has decreased from 17.4% of salaries to 16.5% of salaries. This now concludes our overview of the House of Commons main estimates for 2014-2015, and I would now like to move on to the House of Commons request of $5,048,736 in supplementary estimates A. This request included funding for 3 items. The first item, which was previously approved by the Board, is for $81,000 to fund a 1% economic increase for House Administration senior managers as of April 1st, 2013. This economic increase is in line with the 1% increase approved by the Treasury Board for the Executive Group throughout the federal public service. The second item, for $1.2 million, is for 2014-2015 annual adjustment of members' sessional allowance and additional salaries. This funding is statutory in nature and is based on an index published by Employment and Social Development Canada. Le dernier poste qui figure dans le budget supplémentaire.
The final item in the supplementary estimates is funding of $3.8 million required for the ongoing yearly maintenance and life cycle replacement costs for information technology assets. As established in the Long-Term Vision and Action Plan, there is a need to equip all buildings in the parliamentary precinct with information technology and related infrastructure required for access to information services in order to ensure the effective functioning of Parliament. The Board approved this funding on a 5-year basis starting in 2014-2015, and the House administration must return to the Board on a yearly basis to refresh the 5-year estimates via the main estimates process.
The 2014-2015 estimates and supplementary main estimates and supplementary estimates A reflect both the Board of Internal Economies and the House of Commons' commitment to continued cost containment. We have been able to find efficiencies and make reductions by carefully analyzing our expenditures. While I am pleased that the main estimates I discussed here today represent a 7.2% reduction over those I presented 2 years ago, I assure you that we will continue to make every effort to find further efficiencies while providing high-quality support to parliamentarians. And at this time, we would all be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and very thorough report. We will go to Mr. Butt first, I believe, 7 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Speaker. First, I want to start by congratulating you, your executive team, and really all the MPs in the House for the cost savings and expenditure reductions that have been achieved. I think it's been a real team effort, and I think we're setting the benchmark. We're setting the trend for the reality of the world today, and certainly within Canada today, that you live within your means and that expenditures are reasonable and within appropriate rules and within appropriate levels. So I want to congratulate everyone involved in that. It's great to see 7.2% reduction over the past 2 years, so kudos to you all for that great work. I would like to talk about the $1.4 million that you have allocated or you're requesting with respect to the new MP disclosure system. Can you give us more of a breakdown of the $1.4 million? Is it software related? Is it or capital related? Is it employees that are needed to be hired to administer the new enhanced disclosure system? I think all MPs are looking forward to this because it will be a uniform system across the board for every MP disclosing expenditures in a similar way throughout. So I think it's a great initiative. I'd just like a better breakdown of the $1.4 million, please.
I can perhaps ask Mark to answer some of the more specifics in terms of the percentage, but I can tell you that mostly it will be going to staff, to bringing on employees to manage all the transactions. One of the points that came up during the discussion on this was that members of Parliament and their staff travel a great deal more than even ministers and ministerial offices and other sectors of the public service. So tracking all of that will require additional human resources, and there will be some one-time software costs and licensing type of expenditures for the computer aspect of it to disclose. But I don't know if we have a more detailed percentage-wise breakdown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair. We are planning on hiring. Well, we actually did, because this was done in the fall of last year. And, the committee agreed with the request for supplementary estimates last year to fund this partially. But 13 employees, 11 of those in my sector in finance and 2 in IT, and ongoing support for the good care and nurturing of those employees in terms of what they need in terms of offices and supplies and those types of things. And mostly to look after the interrelationship with the members. We get a lot of questions from members about their accounts, and those are answered as those transactions are processed, and often they're answered again when the reports are ready to be published. We get questions, and members say, can you please recall for me and reconcile for me the use of my points, and I'd like to go over those reports again in more detail. So a lot of transactional work and mostly clerical work with members and with their offices.
So just to as a supplementary, because I know even, I talk to my staff, obviously they're responsible for look after my stuff. The goal is that I'm assuming that this is going to be as administratively easy as possible for all concerned. I know there have been some glitches as we've changed some of the reporting mechanisms, as we've changed some of the categories and stuff for how things are allocated and so on. So the goal of this is, I'm assuming, that it will be as user-friendly as possible, both for staff in MPs' offices as well as for the administrative and IT staff that will be doing this and making sure the disclosures are done. Are we able to find ways to decrease the amount of paper flowing back and forth? One of the things that I know I get a complaint about is it seems we're duplicating things, that we're sending stuff in electronically, but then we're also sending in all the paper backup. I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but it's time consuming. So is there any thought around looking at ways around that to make it more user friendly and not doubling up the workload?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to respond, Mr. Chair. We are doing 2 things. First off, we're investing in trying to be more proactive with members by providing training sessions. There were 6 training sessions last week on disclosure and what this means. The thinking behind that is if we can get to you and let you know what our expectations are at the beginning, then we have less problems on the back end, right? So that people are more accustomed to doing this. The investments in modifying the technology are being made so that those screens are easier, that the system that you interface with is much easier to use and becomes a little more automatic for you to use those screens. We've also recently deployed a fleet of multifunction devices. We have modified and exchanged the equipment that you've had in your offices, faxes, printers, and copiers, with a new device that can do all those things. And we've been working with our auditors and with consultants on fine-tuning the methodology by which you're going to be able to scan your invoices and send them into us electronically to further limit the use of paper, and in line with the initiatives of Greening the Hill, so that, again, that might be simpler and you might not have to wait as long as well for your reimbursements, because we'll already have copies of the invoices. But we wanted to make sure that whatever changes we were making as we were moving away from paper, that we were not going to have any issues with auditors in terms of, compliance issues and making sure that the records still can withstand the test of an audit. So we've been working that out first, and the technology has been deployed to you in waves. The first wave was getting those devices in, and we're releasing more and more functionality. And at the end of the road will be that you'll be able to scan those invoices in and send them to us and attach them to your claim electronically rather than physically. So
Yeah. Okay. Listen, thank you very much. I'm satisfied with that. I think there's other topics I know other members would like to get to, so I'll yield the rest. Thanks.
Madam Latendresse, 7 minutes for you, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Preston.
Thank you very much, Mr. Preston. I have a specific question, which I think you might be able to help me with. When it comes to revising electoral boundaries and the addition of 30 members in the next election, we're wondering if House administration has taken measures to get ready for the increased number of MPs and how that translates into numbers.
To tell you for sure that yes, the House administration has done a lot of preliminary work, and it has been included in some of the previous work that was done, for example, in acquiring office space, La Promenade building, and with the renovations that are underway in the other buildings. So there already is a plan for accommodating the MPs in their offices, and I'm told that we have enough capacity with the existing buildings that the House of Commons has access to accommodate all of the new members and their staff. In addition, there's some physical changes that need to be made to the chamber, and as well some of the IT component with bringing on 30 new members with all that comes with it in terms of computers, software agreements, licensing agreements, things like that, and devices. So yes, now in terms of numbers, we had a conversation. Ready to come to the board. Yeah, the analysis on what the additional cost will be to provide all of that to the new members will be coming to the board in the short term for the board's analysis.
Merci.
Thank you. It's a good answer to my question. My other question on the same topic was to ask if there were any problems or obstacles when it comes to assets, offices, or even the services that are going to be offered to members. Does that mean there's more people that are going to have to be hired in the House in order to deal with this increased number of MPs?
Mark alluded to in his previous answer on the new employees required for the increased transparency. New members mean more transactions, means more claims to be processed, it means more staff to be supported. So I don't think the final approximation of how many new staff will be required for the new members has been brought to the board yet, but it will be coming soon. So there will be some challenges there on accommodating that. In addition, practical things like demand for rooms for MPs who host events or who need to book meetings for any number of different type of parliamentary function, that demand will be increasing, whereas the number of rooms available may not in a direct proportional way. That being said, though, the new coming online of the Sir John A. Macdonald building, our hope is that will alleviate a lot of the pressure that's placed on these two rooms and other rooms around the hill. So there will be some challenges and there will be some pressures felt with that, but the House administration is working hard to be proactive about anticipating where those pressures might be in advance. So I'm confident that you certainly will notice 30 new members in the chamber, but hopefully the services around the hill will definitely be able to keep up.
C'est plus de travail pour vous aussi de garder.
It's more work for you to keep the House in order, that's for sure. When you appeared the last time, last year, in April of 2013, I had a question about reimbursement of second language courses for MPs. It used to be paid by the House, and now it comes from members' offices. I had a question about that. What kind of impact is that going to have? At the time you answered that it was too early to draw any conclusions. I was wondering if now we had an idea of the impact.
I'll ask Pierre maybe to field that question as it's more directly under his area.
Oui, bonjour. On est en train de faire l'étude.
Yes, we are studying that right now. The study isn't done. We're going to be going before the Board of Internal Economy in the next few weeks. Very well. Would it be possible to have the results of that study at the time? I only have preliminary figures. I don't have anything exact. Very well. I had a question about the supplementary estimates A. There's $3,700,000 for the long-term vision and plan. Could you explain to us what that means exactly? What that's going to look like as a fund?
The effect of all those iPads. There's no prosperity in that.
I'll ask our IT person to drill down, but it's basically for the updates to the information technology on the Hill, and I know that there's some exciting things coming online in terms of the infrastructure around IT and what types of extras that the MPs will have and to help make their jobs easier as they move around the buildings. We've kind of come to view IT like a utility, like any other type of utility that the House of Commons has to provide, lights and water and things like that. It's become as important to MPs functioning here on the Hill as just about anything else. So it's when you're dealing with the number of employees and the number of members and the types of things that we want to be able to do, whether it's video conferencing to wireless networks, there's a significant investment that's required. But maybe I'll ask.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair, if I can add to the response of the Speaker, it's basically funding required to support the investments that are made as part of the long-term renovations on the Hill in the four major areas of the broadcasting facilities that we're maintaining, the networking infrastructure, also the security technologies, the integrated security systems, the integrated trunking radio systems, and also new services such as the wireless services that we're actually starting to deliver this year for the precinct. So the investments into these new infrastructures are causing new costs as it relates to the maintenance, the life cycle, and the support of these systems, and that's what these costs are about. It's to actually fund these new requirements and these requirements for the House.
Is this recurring or is this a one-time expense, this fund? These are mostly going to be reoccurring costs. And with the board, we have to go before the board every year and justify the investments that are being made into the long-term vision and plan.
I'll give you one more question.
Ah, merci, Monsieur Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Therefore, I will move on to. Could you further explain the reductions that we're seeing in members of Parliament retiring allowances?
As I mentioned, that's a result of the statute, the statutorial changes to the members' pension plan, which saw members contribute a significant increase to the proportion that members contribute to their own plan. And in terms of the actual breakdown, Mr. Waters has more actuarial analysis of it.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. After an evaluation that was done by the Chief Actuary of Canada, who works for the Treasury Board, when the analysis was done of the pension fund, he determined that contributions could be reduced based on the new configuration of the changes that were coming through when it came to the contribution rate of employees, which are the members, and the employer, which in this case is essentially the House. Distribution of contributions. It's based on other factors like average age of MPs, the performance of the plan, the number of people already retired. Many factors are taken into account. The Chief Actuary of Canada independently determines the contribution rate for the House as the employer and determined that contributions could be reduced by $2 million per year, given the combination of all of those factors.
much. We'll go to Mr. Lamoureux for 7 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciated your opening remarks, Mr. Speaker. I do have questions related to the estimates. My questions are going to be directed to the oversight of spending in the House of Commons. First, Mr. Speaker, if you will, you recall on March the 24th, the Leader of the Opposition, in response to a question about NDP mailings, stated, and I'll give a quote, "We checked and double-checked with the Speaker before going that route." Mr. Speaker, can you indicate as to who from the NDP checked with you before sending out these mailings?
Nobody did.
Mr. Speaker, on April the 9th of this year, in relation to the NDP satellite offices, the Deputy Leader of the NDP, the member for Halifax, stated, and I quote,
Point of order. 1 second, please. I have a point. I thought we were going to get through a pretty relaxed meeting today.
So did we. Mr. Chair, I think you may be aware that there's a there was a point of order in the House asking the Speaker to rule on whether or not the motion setting up this committee was in order. I don't believe we've received the ruling yet from the Speaker. I think it would be highly inappropriate for the committee to be going into another study under the guise of an estimate study, and that's exactly what Mr. Lamoureux is trying to do, and I think it's very obvious.
Mr. Lamoureux, try and keep it connected to estimates. Mr. Speaker, I'll leave it to you to feel what you feel comfortable answering or not answering.
Yes. Yes.
Committee.
You're the master of your own destiny today. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, it's just dealing with the oversight of spending in the House. And the question, Mr. Speaker, was that on April the 9th of this year, in relation to the NDP satellite offices, the Deputy Leader of the NDP, member from Halifax, stated, and I quote, "Well, we actually checked this out before we did it. We got approval from the Speaker." Mr. Speaker, you indicate...
Christopherson?
No, Chair, I appreciate your ruling, and you weren't taking a hard line, but I think you were trying to provide some parameters. Either Mr. Lamoureux is going to be within those parameters or not. And we can repeat that kind of meeting if you want to have that, Chair. We can have that kind of meeting. That's not what we're interested in here. The matter is before the Speaker as to whether or not we're even going to continue in that. But I'm just saying to you, Speaker, with the greatest of respect, sir, that if you're going to allow Mr. Lamoureux to go down that line of questioning, that would make it in order if you said so. But if not, we will retaliate in kind and we'll just repeat the kind of meeting we had before, which wasn't the kind of productive meeting that I think we want to have here. I saw the government asking serious questions to the Speaker. We've been asking serious questions. It's up to you, sir, whether we're going to go down this circus road or not.
Mr. Lamoureux, please try and keep it to estimates and both main estimates and supplementary estimates, if you can, please. And Mr. Speaker, again, your comfort zone as to what you can answer and can't answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to keep it very simple. Mr. Speaker, you had heard my specific quote. I just wanted to ask a simple question. Who from the NDP checked with you in regards to that issue?
Point of order, Chair. We're either going to go down this road or not. You're going to have to be firmer, Chair, one way or the other. Either we're going to rip it wide open or you're going to rein them in. It's your call. We're ready for both.
The question's been asked. The Speaker has the option to answer or not, or we can go the other route. Mr. Speaker? I'm trying to keep this estimates and supplementary estimates related, and I understand Mr. Lamoureux is walking a pretty thin line here.
Yes, well, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, I am here to talk about the estimates and the different reductions and in a few cases increases for the House of Commons. I don't know where this line of questioning could end up. So I'll simply say nobody checked with me personally or anyone in my office. And if we'd like to get back to the subject before us, I think my sense of the room is that members would appreciate that. I know I certainly would, because that's what I came here to talk about.
Mr. Lamoureux, a little tighter line, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And again, it's just, we're responsible for the oversight of the administration, and my questions are, I believe, pertaining to that. I guess I'll go to Mr. Bosk. As a member of Parliament from Winnipeg North, can you tell me if, in fact, the rules would allow me to hire employees to be based out of the Yukon? And I'm thinking in terms of referring to the House of Commons employees, not contractors.
Mr. Lamoureux, I think I'm going to answer by saying the following. The Speaker has explained to the committee why he's here. I'm here to support him, and I think that's the purpose of our presence here today is to support the Speaker in discussing the estimates, and so that's my answer.
Mr. Lamoureux, are you getting a feeling about where I'd like you to go on this?
I'm starting to get a sense of it, Mr. Chairperson, but I do think that it's, you know, it's a fair, like it's, when we talk about the administration of the Hill and our responsibilities, I think that it's a fair question to just put forward. As a member of Parliament from Winnipeg North, if I wanted to be able to hire an individual outside of Winnipeg Centre or outside of Ottawa, do I have that ability? Can I hire someone to work out of another province?
Well, Mr. Lamoureux, we all appreciate persistence, but I think I'm
going to help, Mr.
Yeah.
Speaker. Yeah. Let's move to estimates or main estimates, or give your time to the next question, please.
Okay. Well, not necessarily wanting to push the envelope too hard, Mr. Speaker.
You don't have anything
else. Well, you know, it's interesting that the House of Commons was selling off some silverware, from what I understand, and out of the parliamentary dining room, I think it was. Mr. Speaker, can you just kind of provide some further comment as to why it is that we would be doing that?
Well, first of all, I should maybe make a small correction. It wasn't actually silverware. It was silver-plated. So, as embarrassed as I am that that it wasn't real silver, it was silver-plated. As any of you who, my mom had some very lovely silverware that we inherited through the family. It requires a great deal of upkeep and polishing, and has some additional costs to maintain. It was reaching the end of life cycle where it was deemed to be more practical to dispose of the asset and acquire a stainless steel. Oh, I see. It actually had been in storage for 10 years without having been used. So it was seen as appropriate to get it off the books. And when the House of Commons disposes of assets, there's a very standard operating procedure for that. It goes through Crown Assets, and it's done with everything from old tables and chairs. So it moved in the same category. But I should mention that the curator of the House of Commons is a very, very experienced gentleman who has a great deal of knowledge of cultural and historical significance for all kinds of art and artifacts around the precinct. Did a thorough examination and found it to be not significant in any way. It wasn't like it had been presented to the House by a head of state, or it was just silver-plated knives and forks that didn't seem to be worth keeping after not being in use for 10 years.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was kind of an interesting when I first heard about the fact that we're selling off silverware from the parliamentary. Is there other, like, are we doing dishes? Are we selling the kitchen and sink, or anything else that we're selling out of the parliamentary dining room?
You could bid on.
You know?
I can certainly check into specifics. If you're looking to add to your serving set, we can see what's on the books. But as I said, normal wear and tear, normal breakage as sets become impossible to replace. I remember I broke I think it was a Royal Dalton 3-tiered cake set on my mom about 10 years ago, and she almost cried because it's delisted. You can't get it anymore. So those types of things, when those types of things happen, we dispose of the existing assets and look to replace them with high quality, something that suits the precinct and suits the types of offices and restaurant that we have, but at the same time cost effective for taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I never thought of telling my mother, oh, that was just a reduction in assets in the household. There was special time for that stuff. Mr. Lukiski, you're up for 4 minutes, please.
Thanks. A couple of questions quickly, and I don't see you had mentioned this in your overview, and so I'm not sure if you're prepared to answer it, but I've got a couple of backups as well. The first one is just on, right now there's I guess a trial or test program going on in the House with, I don't know how many members, 50 or more, trying out iPhones as opposed to BlackBerries. and I understand this is a 6-month test to see if there's a second platform that would be suitable for the House. I'm wondering what financial impact that may have, and if in fact at the end of the 6 months that the decision is that we can put iPhones as an option to the BlackBerries, what financial impact might that have as well?
Sure. There were some costs, obviously, in acquiring new physical devices, but also in, I believe, licensing costs. But I'll maybe ask you to.
So that's basically building on the speaker's response. It's the cost are currently minimum. We currently have the infrastructure to support the iPhones, so we didn't have to invest in a new infrastructure to support the iPhones. What we had to do is extend our existing infrastructure to buy specific licenses for the product, so the costs were really minimal. And that will be reassessed if we decide to move ahead with the in production with the use of iPhones. But it hasn't been decided yet. We're waiting at the end of the product to seek feedback from the members.
This is kind of a non-monetary question, but it's related to the same thing. I've heard that there may be some security issues on the iPhone as opposed to the BlackBerry. Could you comment on that?
I can only comment on the fact that the approach that we've implemented for the use of the iPhone is as secure as we can get right now. And in the context of how we are providing the service to the members, it meets the current security requirements for the House to deliver these services that we're delivering, being some of the mail and the contacts and the calendaring that we're providing. We are still reminding members not to use any of the phones, including the BlackBerries, to store and use confidential or secured information.
Okay. Thank you. I've got a couple of minutes left, Chair. I'll move on then to some of the items you have covered in your overview. And again, I concur with my colleague, Mr. Butt. We appreciate all of the efforts that you made and House Administration has made to try and reduce costs under the Strategic Operating Review. I think you've been doing a very good job on that, so congratulations to you. But on that, there's a couple of areas I'd like to get a little bit more detail, particularly on the cost savings you have seen with the with parliamentarians primarily going on to flight passes. You said there's significant savings, but I haven't really seen a comparative total as to what were we experiencing pre-flight passes and what are we experiencing now. Could you give us a flavor for that? Because I understand it's significant, which is great, but exactly how much money are we saving?
Yeah, okay. $5.5 million is the number that we've seen in the cost savings. As those of you who fly regularly know, when you buy an a la carte ticket, you pay a market price, which can fluctuate depending on when you're able to purchase a ticket, whereas the Flight Pass locks in a much lower price in advance. So even if a last-minute booking, you're not paying the posted rate on a website, you're getting that initial locked-in fee. And because of that, because of the bulk purchasing that the House of Commons is able to do, we get a significant discount on that. So it's 5.5.
Now that it's great to hear. That $5.5 million, you said that savings, is that over a 12-month period? Is that an annual saving, or since the time you first started using Flight Pass?
That's per fiscal year that we've seen that.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Lukowski. Mr. Scott, 4 minutes, if we could, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for being here. Just a couple of questions. One is I'm not sure if it's going to be happening in this year, or maybe it's already happening, but is there some kind of a plan to begin to integrate the security in the entire precinct between House and Senate? And if so, does that have fiscal implications? Will there actually be economies of scale or some kind of efficiencies that are worth noting?
Yes, and I am glad you asked that. It is something that I personally feel very invested in. We do have several reports, including one from the Auditor General, who several years ago highlighted it as an area of concern. That there are, when you think about it, from Bank Street to the Hall of Honor, you go from the City of Ottawa to the RCMP to the House of Commons on one side of the Hall of Honor to the Senate security on the other side. And those are seams from a security perspective. Each transition is viewed as a seam, which poses security issues. And then, of course, the cost that comes along with that. So there is a move underway. I know I said that last year. If there's a speed below glacial, then we've found it. But I can say that that there is a renewed interest in it. There have been some movements. I don't want to go into too much detail because some of it is surrounding security and how those operational things work. But there will be savings seen by reducing of redundancy. You know, 2 separate administrations, 2 separate protocols and things like that. And as well, we've had analysis that show that there will be improvement in the security aspect as well.
Thank you very much. The next question, it may go through you, Mr. Speaker, but Mr. Waters might be in a better position. We had some questions from Mr. Butt about the amount of extra budget that will be needed to have a properly functioning office with respect to higher transparency of MP expenses. And it was indicated that a fair chunk of that would be towards personnel. I'm just wondering, have we got to the point at all where are there any issues around health of employees related to stress due to workload flow in any departments, including in finance? Are we absolutely content that we have the right number of personnel, or are we actually getting to the point of losing efficiencies because of stress issues?
The bells, and without unanimous consent, we can't continue. So, Mr. Speaker, we thank you for coming today.
It's always a pleasure. Good to see everybody.
And we did get through most of that round, so I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you very much. I had a couple of questions too, but I guess I'll have to submit them in written form. We will suspend, and we will return here after votes, please.